how to future-proof your property purchase, how to buy at the right time, and make sure you are not overpaying. Today, I'm going to show you one of our strategies of how do we look for properties based on land cost trends and real developer behavior. Because in Singapore, land cost determines future property price. So when you understand land cost, you will also know whether today's price is it expensive or actually a discount to the future. So if you look at the land cost trends from 2017 to 2025, right, you will notice it moves in a cycle. Okay, it moves in a cycle. In 2018, 2019, and 2020, during that time, we have high interest rates, and during that time, we also have like COVID, and then that will cause actually some uncertainty, right? That will cause the land bids to drop also. Then in 2021, something very powerful happened. GDP was strong, high GDP, and then the interest rates were extremely low, liquidity flooded the market. So developers actually bidded aggressively for land and buyers enter the market in large numbers as the cost of borrowing is very low. In 2022 to 2023, interest rates rose aggressively to fight inflation because during the time we had very high inflation. Cooling measures were then introduced. A major ABSD increase. Singapore citizens, we have 20% ABSD for second property and 60% for foreigners. So developer actually become more cautious and land bids price was softened. That's why you see a slight drop here. Alright, so now in 2025, we are seeing a GDP growth return, interest rates coming down as well, and demand becoming strong again, which means the next phase of land price is already moving up. So this will directly affect the next wave of launch prices. Now let's take a look at this. What is happening in 2025 launches? So this is Zion Grand, which was sold at an average of 3050 per square feet. And for this promenade peak, it was sold at a $3,343 per square feet here, right? And for this Pen Reef is $2,008 per square feet. So these projects are actually selling based on land that was bought earlier at lower cost, which is why buyers today still have an entry advantage. Okay, we'll go deeper into each land bid prices later. Alright, so this is actually the new launch prices expected in 2026. We have the Nara that was launched 2 weeks back. So they were launched at 2,180 PSF. You see the land price was actually 1,020. Then we have the rest of like Danyan Road 1,004 PSF. Then we have like Lakeside 1,132 per square feet. Holland Link 1,004 per square feet. Alright, so we have all these surroundings of these lands which are 1,000 to 1,003 plus PSF as well. So based on the new land bid prices, you are actually buying before the next price benchmark is reset. This is why we are seeing many projects crossing new per square feet records. We will see a lot of 3,000 per square feet this year. So this is our prices for the OCR, selling at future RCR and CCR price. Let me show you this again. This is Zion Grand. The land was bidded at 1,202 per square feet PPR, and their average that they were sold at 3,050 per square feet. For the promenade peak over here, they bought in at 1,003 PSF PPR, and they were sold 3,003 per square feet. Pen Reef 1,001 per square feet, they were sold at 2,008 averagely. So next upcoming, you look at this Lakeside station. Lakeside is actually the OCR, and their land plot was sold at 1,132 per square feet per plot ratio. So what do you think will be their selling price in future? And next up, we also have Dorset at $1,300 PSF PPR, Telok Blangah 1,1326 PSF, Chuan Grove 1,003, and then also with this another plot of Chuan as well. There's two plots in the Chuan Grove, 1,376 and 1,331 per square feet. How much are they selling? And all these are our OCR land plots. And Bedok Rise is 1,330 per square feet PPR. So in future, you look at all these lands, the land plot is more expensive than here. Do you think the selling price here will be higher or lower than this? That's the reason why I say we will see a lot of 3,000 per square feet coming up this year. And this is the RCR land cost, selling at future CCR price. So take a look at this guy at Holland. This is CCR. They bought in at 1,250 per square feet PPR, and their averagely was 2,009. Okay, River Green 1325 per square feet per plot ratio. They are sold at 3,130 per square feet averagely. Alright, so now take a look at this Dorset 1388 PSF PPR. This is RCR. Okay, and then Telok Blangah RCR 1326 per square feet per plot ratio. And then we have Tanjung Ru. Tanjung Ru just bidded recently at 1455 PSF PPR. Okay, River Modern 1420 per square feet per plot ratio. Daniel Road 1410 per square feet per plot ratio. Holland Link $1,432 per square feet per plot ratio. So you see all these PSF PPR is higher than River Green land price, higher than Sky at Holland land price. These are CCR, and this will be the future CCR price higher than this. And what do you think will be their selling price in future? We also have this Newton. They have bought in at 1820 per square feet per plot ratio. And when this launch end of this year or early next year, it will really set a new benchmark to CCR prices already. So this is the rising land prices of OCR sites. OCR land prices are already moving towards the level that will require selling price of 2006 per square feet in 2026. This is not speculation. This is based on actual land cost data. For example, for this Bayshore plot 1388 per square feet per plot ratio, there's a total number of 8 bidders. And all these bidders, right, you can see that it's actually major developers. When you see this level of competition from major developers, right, it tells you one thing. Developers are confident about future selling prices because they are the ones taking the biggest risk. Okay? So this will be a new record price that we have seen, the one that I mentioned earlier, 1455 PSF PPR at the Tanjung Ru site. This is a joint venture between CDL and Wohab, right? So Tanjung Ru sets a new benchmark over there as well. So the real question for buyer is, what will be the future launch price be? And when that happens, how will it affect the value of the projects that you buy in today? Impact on land costs moving forward. So over here, this is Sky at Holland, right? So averagely 3130 per square feet, and they bought the land for 1285 PSF PPR. Okay, so this is Penreef. We take for example $2,008 per square feet averagely. So let's say 850 square feet 3-bedroom. We give a discount. Maybe your Q number is good. You 2007 PSF. You can buy a Penreef at 2.29 million, right? So the next upcoming Lakeside OCR development, the land price 1132 PSF, just slightly cheaper than this RCR plot at Penreef. What would be the expected selling price? If we use the same size, 850 per square feet, to get a better comparison, right? Maybe because OCR we say it your Q number is better, you can get something earlier at maybe a 2005 PSF. Quantum will be 2.12 million. Okay, so for Bedok Rise at OCR plot, right, they bought in at 1330 PSF PPR. If we use the same size, 850 square feet, alright, times maybe 2007 PSF, you get the same amount, 2.29, compared with this RCR plot. Do you see that? Right, so these are all the OCR land plots which the prices will be slowly moving up as well. So if the land costs go up, future selling price must go up also. So when buyers take action today, it is not because of today's market. It's because we already know what is coming up next. In fact, why people choose to take action? Because we already know the future price. If you know what is ahead of us, it will be easier for you to make a decision. So this is actually what we call the buyer's V-shaped window. You're entering at a time where the land cost is low now and the interest rates are also low. Okay? So you are protected on both sides, over here and at this time, because you know what is the future. We know what are land prices coming up, right? Whereby this side here, you buy a low. Okay? So you are protected on both sides. When interest rates are low, money flows into assets. Okay? So with the new Fed chair going to be nominated by the US President Donald Trump, do you think that the interest rates will go low or go high? Okay, so it's best that you can lock in the low interest rates now. So the key question becomes, right, do you want to secure a property while financing cost is still attractive and before the next price reset? Right, so now that we understand how land cost affects the overall launch prices, the next question buyers always ask me is that, within the same project, why are some units priced higher than others? This is where the developer's price strategy comes in. Because developers don't price all units the same. They apply what we call loading. So loading on per level increment. Alright, so generally lower floor starts at a more attractive entry price. As you go higher, the price increases. Take note, it's not always a straight line because sometimes you will see certain levels will have a bigger price jump. Why? Because those levels maybe clear the neighboring blocks, get unblocked views, enjoy better privacy. So when you're choosing a unit, right, you are not just buying a floor, you're buying the point whereby the value changes. So this is where smart buyers focus on the last affordable level before the big price jump. So for example, if let's say per level jump is actually maybe 8,000 or something, then after that there's a jump on the level 8 and level 9, right? It's about 20,000 or 30,000, then you get a level 8 will be a better choice. Alright, so this is how you future-proof your purchase. So next will be loading on different facing. So not all the facings are equal. For example, some will have river views, some will have the building views, like internal facing, some will have greenery view, and also open view, right? So the premium you pay for, right, is actually for the view, the ventilation, the natural lights, and also privacy. Because if you are facing open view or facing the outside or even a river view, you will have definitely more privacy, and developer will actually price differently for these. Price, livability, and future demand. Next would be the loading on 4-bedroom and 5-bedroom. For example, projects like Sora and Nara residence, you notice that the bigger units are priced with a different strategy. Why? Because they are limited in supply, they target a different buyer profile, and also they are meant for long-term own stay. So the decision here is not just about the PSF, it's also about the quantum, the reality, the future buyer pool. Key questions are you paying for the view or are you overpaying for the premium? So we also need to see what is the difference in the pricing when the price is released. Because sometimes the price gap between a pool view unit and a greenery view may not be justified in future resale. Okay, so this is what we look for, the facing that gives the best balance of. So if you understand what is ahead of the market, your decision becomes very simple because you no longer buy based on emotions, you are buying based on data and future values, right? So this is actually some of the data that we have over here that I can send to you because we want to know what are the upcoming projects in the pipeline and the upcoming land costs. So today when I help my clients select a unit, we are not just choosing based on what looks nice. We are choosing based on where the next price jump will happen, which facing gives real long-term value, which unit type has future demand, based on the price that you are entering, how is it compared with the future value? Because this is how you make sure you are not just buying a unit, you are buying the right unit. Okay? So when we build wealth through real estate, we are not just investing in properties, we are investing in better lives. Alright, my name is Joey San. I'll see you in my next video.